Hey guys, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the third upload of our series of videos as it relates to the end of term exam for the period of September through to December end of term exam. Okay, we had previously done two uploads, questions 1 and 2, that's related to basic knowledge when it comes to math, ratio, that kind of stuff. We did a second upload that had to do with algebra, approximations, and transposition. Well, transposition is algebra. We did some direct proportion and inverse proportion. So in this, our third upload, we're going to be looking at consumer arithmetic and some measurement questions. So feel free to smash the subscribe button below, like, share, and comment. Let me know if you have any questions as it relates to the topics, if you have any video requests that you would like, and we can definitely be obliged to providing those content for you. You're free to follow me on Instagram at Apex Academy of Mathematics. Follow me on my Facebook page at Aki Math Period Quiz. And of course, check in the description box below to see if you see any links to my other social media connections. Alright, so let's just jump right into the video now. So this question here talks about the fact that Mary borrowed $3,000 from her credit union. The credit union charges interest at a rate of 20% per annum on the loan balance. So, okay, so it's 20% per annum on the loan balance at the end of each year. Mary paid $200 per month on her account. The amount she repaid during the first year. Alright, so let's start. I've already recognized here that the money that she has borrowed here represents her principal, so we're gonna leave it at as P. And she's being charged 20% interest, but the interest that she's being charged is going to be the charge on the balance that she has at the end of each year. And she's paying $200 per month on her account. So our job is to calculate the amount she repaid during the first year. So that's going to be easy because 12 months make a year. And she's paying $200 per month. So that is 12 multiplied by 200. And that's going to be equal to $2,400. So for part 1, very straightforward. The amount she pays per month multiplied by the amount of month that makes 1 year gives us the amount of money that she would have repaid during the first year. So that's not very hard there. The interest charge at the end of the year, of the first year. In this part of the question, they said that the credit union charges interest at a rate of 20% per annum on the loan balance at the end of each year. So the loan balance is going to be the $3,000 that she had borrowed minus what she paid. And that's going to be equal to $600. So she's owing the bank $600 and they're going to charge her 20% interest on that. So that's going to be 20% over 100 times 600. And that literally is going to be equal to $120. So that's going to be the interest that they are going to charge her on what she has remaining for the bank at the end of the first year. Now they want to know the amount owed at the beginning of the second year. So at the beginning of the second year, they're now going to calculate her balance, which is $600, plus the interest that they charge her, which is $120. And that's going to be literally equal to $720. That's what she's going to be owing at the beginning of the second year. Alright, so that's not very hard at all. And the least number of payments required to pay off the loan and the interest during the second year. Okay, so the least number of payments required. We want to know what's the maximum amount of payments that she's going to need to pay off the entire loan and the interest during the second year. Alright, so the interest, so the least amount of payments required to pay off the loan and the interest. So the loan, the balance that she has is 600 plus 120, that's 720, and she's paying $200 per month on her loan. So to know the least amount of payments is going to be 720 divided by 200, and that's going to be equal to 3.6. Let's double check on that. So that's 720 divided by 200, that's 3.6. So she's going to need a maximum of 4 payments. A maximum of 4 payments to repay off the loan and the interest charged to her on the second year. So she needs a maximum of 4 payments. Alright? So that's pretty good. Hopefully you guys got that. Wasn't too fast or too slow for you. So that's the end of that question. Let's continue. Part B. We are to calculate the rate of interest per annum if $405 is the simple interest gained on $2,700 in 1 year. Alright, so we are calculating the rate. In the previous upload, I had mentioned to you that most persons or most students are familiar with the formula SI or I is equal to principal times time times rate divided by 100. Okay, simple interest or I is the same thing. Alright, so a lot of persons will do this and plug the numbers into the formula and try to rearrange for whatever they're looking for. In this case, you're looking for R right here. So we already know that P is going to be 2,700. That's P because that's what you're gaining the interest on. And $405 is going to be your interest. Okay, because that's the interest. It says that per annum if $405 is the simple interest. And the time is 1 year, so T is just going to be 1. And we could transpose for R. But I think better yet, the formula that I would like to use is the formula for R, which is equal to simple interest multiplied by 100 divided by principal times time. So the rate is going to be equal to the interest earned is 405 multiplied by 100 divided by the principal that you got the interest on is 2,700 multiplied by the rate or the time, pardon me, is just 1 year. So that's just times 1. So that's 405 multiplied by 100. That's equal to 40,500. I'm going to divide that by 2,700 times 1 is 2,700. So if we divide by 2,700 here, we should get 15%. So that's going to be the interest rate on that question. Alright, you could actually say, as I said, plug it into the formula. It's going to be more or less the exact same thing. So definitely you want to study the sub-formulas that are derived from this basic simple interest formula, PTR over 100. Okay? Alright. Awesome. Let's move on now to this section over here. We're going to be looking at some simple hire purchase. So for the hire purchase here, it says a refrigerator can be bought on hire purchase by making a deposit of $480 and 15 monthly installments of $80 each. Calculate the hire purchase cost of the refrigerator. There's a basic formula for hire purchase. It's that HP is equal to the deposit you make plus the installment made per month times the time period in which you're making these installments. And time in this case has to be in months. So if you're given the time frame in years, you have to calculate the years back to months. 1 year is equal to 12 months, 2 years is equal to 24 months, 3 years is equal to 36 months, and obviously you can do the in between. 1.5 years is 18 months, 2.5 years is 30 months, so forth. So the deposit that you are to make to take this refrigerator out is $480, and that's going to be the installment you're required to make every month is $80, and you're going to be doing it for 15 months. This is basically like a 1.25 of a year, so that's 15 months. Since it's already in months, we just write the 15. So that's going to be 480 multiplied by 80 times 15. So that's going to be $1,200. Let's just double check on that. 15 multiplied by 80. That's $1,200. And if we add those together, we're going to get $1,680. That's going to be the higher purchase price on this refrigerator. Part 2 is saying that the actual marked price of the refrigerator is $1,400. So that would have been the price had you walked in the store. Okay, that's the marked price on the refrigerator. And that marked price, it was inclusive of sales tax of 12%. So this includes sales tax of 12%. Calculate the sales price of the refrigerator if no sales tax was included. Okay, so we're looking at the fact that since the tax is 12%, okay, let's first look at what the original cost of anything is. So first of all, the original cost pardon me, alright, sorry guys. So the original cost of anything at all guys, in terms of percentage is 100. Okay, so the original cost is 100%. If discount is applied to the cost, then the original cost will decrease from 100 to less than 100. If tax is affixed to the original cost, then it will increase. And since they're saying that tax is included in the 1,400, we are saying that the tax is 12%, so that means the current cost is equal to 112% because tax is included. And since the current cost right now inclusive of tax is 1,400, we are simply saying therefore then that 112% is equivalent to the 1,400 because it is inclusive of the tax. And since we already laid out that the original cost is 100% and we don't know what it is, we know the current cost is 1,400 and the current cost is inclusive of 12% tax. We just simply added the 12% to 100 to get 112%. And that's what's what's causing the refrigerator to have a total of 1,400. So by using the direct proportion principle of finding one portion, we could say that 1% is therefore equal to 1,400 divided by 112. So 1,400 divided by 112, that's equal to 12.5. And since you're saying that we should calculate the sales price of the refrigerator if no sales tax was included, then we're looking for the original cost, which is 100% multiplied by 12.5. And that's equal to $1,250. And it makes sense because the original cost has to be less than the current cost if the current cost is inclusive of tax. Alright? So that's kind of pretty much how we would go about doing that. That's us using the proportion method to do it. We could form a relationship between the original cost and the current cost. So that's just one way. Let's look at it another way. Let's look at the fact that okay, so we know that 112% is equal to 1,400. Okay? And how are we getting this 112%? You may be asking. It is because we are told here that this includes sales tax of 12%. And you still have to remember that the original cost of anything, regardless of its price, is always 100%. So adding tax means that you're gonna have to add the tax percentage to the original cost. So that's how that's how I keep saying 112% is equal to 1,400. So we're looking for the price before the tax was added. So we're looking for the original price. So 100% is equal to X. And we could create a cross multiplication method here. So 112% times X is 112X. And 100 times 1400 is equal to 1400 with 2 more zeros. So that's 140,000. So X is going to be equal to 140,000 divided by 112. So 140,000 divided by 112, and that gives us $1,250. So there are a couple of ways in which you could do the problem. There's a couple of ways that you could look at it. However you choose, you still have to come back to the point where you have to find or create a relationship between what you currently know and what you're trying to find out. But be careful with the questions that talks about being inclusive of tax and being exclusive of tax. The exclusive tax questions are straightforward. Inclusive of tax is a little bit tricky in terms of the working out. And common mistake is that once a student sees percentages, they tend to want to put the percentage over 100 and times it by the total. And that's kind of sometimes not applicable based on if it's inclusive or exclusive of tax. Okay? Alright, so hopefully you guys got that one. Okay, we're going to move on to the final pages of this topic. Oh, we have one more question in consumer arithmetic here. So let's have a look at it. Alright, so it says here that the following advertisement was seen in a store. Sales on shirts. The regular price of the shirt is $40 and it's going to be a 20% discount. That's what the advertisement is saying. Alright, so with that information, let's see what they're asking us to find here. They're saying that the regular price of the shirt is $40 and during a sales discount of 20% is during a sale a discount of 20% is given. You have to calculate the amount a customer pays for the shirt. That is if they decide to buy the shirt. And that's kind of straightforward because you're getting discount. So there's a couple of ways that you could work this out. We could try to find out what is the discount that the customer is getting. So that's going to be 20% over 100 multiplied by the cost of the shirt. So that's 0 will cancel 0 here and 0 will cancel 0 here. So 2 times 4 is 8. So this customer will be getting $8 off. So therefore, the cost of the shirt to the customer is going to be 40 subtract 8. That's going to be equal to $32 to the customer. That's one way of getting it, by finding the discount and subtracting the discount from the current cost. We could use the technique that we were doing previously in the previous question. We could simply subtract the discount percentage from the original cost. Since the original cost is always 100%, let's just write that a little better. Since the original cost is equal to 100%, then since discount is being given, the original cost is going to go down. So that's going to be 100 minus 20, which is equal to 80%. So you're now being sold, you're now being sold the cost of the shirt, you're now being sold the shirt, you're now being sold, or the shirt is now being sold to you at a cost of 80%. So your job is to find 80% of what the original cost is. And that obviously is going to be 80% over 100 multiplied by 40. So 0 will cancel 0 here and 0 will cancel 0 here. So 8 times 4 gives you $32. Alright, so there's a couple of ways that you could work out these problems. Hopefully you guys got that. Alright, so now with that said, the original cost, or sorry, the discounted price to the customer for the shirt is $32. Part B, when selling at the discounted or the discount price, the salesman makes a profit of 60%. Calculate the cost of the shirt to the salesman. Let's try to read that again. When selling at the discount price, the salesman makes a profit of 60%. Calculate the cost of the shirt to the salesman. So this pretty much is telling me that at $32, okay, so currently they're trying to say that even though the salesman is giving customers that are buying this shirt, even though he's giving them a discounted price of 20%, even when he's selling the shirt at $32, he's still making 60% profit on his money. Which means that if he had sold it at the price of $40, he would have been making a higher profit. So technically, if we were to reason this question out, he would literally be making more profit than what we predicted. He's currently making 60% profit selling it at $32. He could have been making 75, 80, 90% profit selling it at $40. So let's see then. So at $32, he's making a 60% profit. Okay? So which means that this $32 is now going to be the price inclusive of profit. And since the profit is 60%, it simply means that, okay, if the original cost of anything is equal to 100%, all right, and he's making a 60% profit at the moment, that means the current cost or the current price that he's selling the shirt for is actually at 160%. And therefore that 160%, okay, let's just bring this up a little bit. That 160%, pardon me guys. Okay, let's get back to this. So that 160% is what's equal to the $32. Because at $32, he's still making in excess of 60% profit. What is the cost to him when it was sold? So that would have been that he's looking for the original price of 100%. So 100% is equal to X. And we could cross multiply here. So 160 times X is 160X. And 32 times 100 is 3200. 32 times 100 is 3200. 160 times X is 160X. So X is equal to 3200 divided by 160. So 3200 divided by 160, that's equal to $20. So this man was actually sold, or this man bought the shirt for $20, selling it at a discounted price of $32. He's still making 60%. So therefore, selling it at $40 would mean that he's actually making even more than 60%. Hopefully you guys got that. Definitely just try to pull the video up a little bit more and see if you can rewatch what I just said to get a better understanding. Okay? Alright, so hopefully you guys got that. Part C. We are to calculate the percentage profit made. Okay, so here it is now. We are to calculate the percentage profit made when the shirt was sold at $40. And this is what I was kind of talking about. Now we are trying to actually find out what was the actual percentage profit that this man was making if he was selling it at $40. So that would simply be a case where we now know what the actual cost was to the salesman. So the actual cost to the salesman, cost to salesman, is equal to $20. He was selling it initially at $40. So the current so the current sales price is $40. So therefore, it would have been that the profit is equal to what he's selling it for minus what he bought it for, and that's going to be how much he's making. So that's going to be 20 over 100 multiplied by, or 20 over 40, I should say, multiplied by 100. And that's going to be equal to 50%. So selling it at $40, he would have been making 50% profit. Okay? Hopefully you guys got that one. After the sale, the salesman bought 100 shirts for $25 each. And he sold them to make a profit of 56% on the buying price. Calculate the total profit he made on this set of shirts. So he's buying 100 shirts at $25 each, which means that he literally is going to be spending $100 times 25. So he's going to be spending $2,500 for these for these 100 shirts. Now, he's basically saying here that and he sold them to make a profit of 56% on his buying price, and his buying price is $2,500. So we want to find 56% of what this money is. Okay, so 56 over 100 multiplied by the buying price, because that's what he wants to make. He wants to make a profit on his buying price. So by doing the math here, 56 divided by 100 multiplied by 2,500, he would be making $1,400 profit on this here. Okay, so that's what the 56% is equivalent to, $1,400. Let's continue reading. We are to calculate the profit he made on the set of shirts. That's it. That's the profit that he would have made on the set of shirts, $1,400. So we just basically had to calculate how much is he buying the 100 shirts for, which is $2,500, and then find 56% of that shirt, or that's cost of the set of shirts, and that would have given us the price or the profit that he's making on these set of shirts. So that's $1,400. That's it. So it wasn't really that much of a challenging question. It just took some reading, some interpretation, understanding profit and loss. Definitely going to be putting some videos out on this, so you guys can get a better understanding of what is profit loss percentage and profit gain percentage and that kind of stuff. So hopefully you guys got that one. Okay, all right, let's move on now to the final stage of this paper, and we're going to be looking at some measurement question here. All right guys, so this again was a topic that I taught in the period of September through to December. A lot of my students, a lot of you guys may already know the formula to these types of questions. So we're just going to jump right into it. If you happen to have access to this paper, I actually had a set of formulas placed right here for them to use. You too can get access to this paper if you so desire. Or you should have it. If you don't, you can definitely email me at akimathpeertowiz@gmail.com and you can get the sample copy of this paper. Let's get in here. Question 6A. So we're given this prism here, and we're not told what type of prism it is, but we should be able to figure it out based on the fact that this shape here is a trapezium. So technically the prism is a trapezoid. Okay, we have these two sides here that are parallel, and we have this vertical distance here with a 90 degree here and a 90 degree here. Okay, so we are told that the volume of the prism is 720. Usually, guys, we are asked to find the volume. This time we are told what the volume of the prism is, and it's 720. And we are asked to find the length of the prism, which is right here. This is what we're trying to find, the length of the prism. Okay, so firstly, let's try to derive a formula for the prism here. We know that volume of any prism is that V is equal to AH. And A stands for the area of the cross section, which is obviously the trapezium. The cross section is a trapezium. Okay, so we know that the volume is equal to the area of a trapezium. Well, the area of a trapezium is just A plus B times H divided by 2, but you can confirm it on the formula sheet which was provided here. There it is, area of trapezium, half A plus B times H, or it's just A plus B times H divided by 2. So that was very helpful. You could have used that formula sheet to your aid if you did not remember what the volume formula, what the area of a trapezium is. So it's just A plus B times H divided by 2. That is the A part. And then again, we're just going to simply multiply this now again by the height of the prism. This H here represents the height of the cross section. And this H here that I have in red represents the height of the prism, which is what we are looking for. So let's plug in some numbers. We are told that the volume is 720, so 720 goes here. And that's going to be equal to A and B are the parallel sides, which is 9 and 6. We place those with the arrows here. 9 and 6. So that's 9 plus 6. We're going to multiply that by the height of the trapezium, which in this case is 8. That's the height of the trapezium. I'm going to divide that by 2 and then multiply simply by the height of the prism we're looking for. So let's do some math here. So that's 720, and that's going to be equal to 9 plus 6 is 15. 15 times 8, that's 120. Let's confirm that. 15 times 8 is 120. So inside the bracket here, 9 plus 6 is 15. 15 times 8 is 120. 120 divided by 2 is 60. So this is 60 each. And if we divide both sides by 60, then 720 divided by 60 will give us the height of the prism. So 720 divided by 60. So the height of this prism is 12 millimeters. Okay, so this part here is 12 millimeters. All right, so we've been through questions like this where normally you're asked for the volume, but there are going to be cases where sometimes they may ask you for the parallel sides or the length. It all depends. What happens to this 10? The 10 doesn't play any role in this particular question, but there are some instances where that slant side there may come into play quite handy. All right, so that gives us the length of the prism. Next, part B, we are to calculate the surface area of the prism. So surface area has a formula. It's not on the formula sheet. But you should know that SA stands for the perimeter of the cross section. CC stands for cross section, or CS I should say, not CC, CS. So surface area is the perimeter of the cross section multiplied by the height of the prism. So the perimeter of the cross section is going to be 10 plus 9 plus 6 plus 8, and that would be multiplied by the height, which in this case we found earlier to be 12. So 10 plus 9 is 19. 19 plus 6 is 25. 25 plus 8 is 33. And so 33 times 12, I believe, if I multiply this correctly, I should get 366 or 348, I'm sorry. So 33 times 12, well, it's actually 396. My math is not very good. How ironic. So that's 396. We're looking for surface area, so it's squared millimeters. And that's the surface area. It's just the perimeter of the cross section multiplied by the height of the prism. Alright, and so finally we're looking for total surface area. That also too has a formula. So total surface area is equal to the surface area plus 2 times the area of the cross section, because there are two cross sections. One is at the front that I've already crossed out in blue here, and one is at the back here to the end here. So it's just going to be the surface area, which we just found to be 396, plus 2 times the area of the front or the side, because it's 2 of them. Yes, so total surface area is going to be equal to the 396 which we just found. And hopefully if it's correct, well, I know it's correct, but if you did it, you've got to make sure that, notice that the questions are connected. Part B depends on part A, and part C depends on part B. So if part B is wrong, automatically part C will be wrong. And if part A is wrong, part B is going to be also incorrect. So that's going to be surface area, which is 396 plus 2 times the area of the cross section. So the area of the cross section is just a trapezium. That's just half AB, or half A plus B times H divided by 2. We had already found that right here. A plus B, that's 9 plus 6, times H, which is times 8, divided by 2. We had already found it to be 60. So it's just 2 times 60 here. Alright? Once you've already done some working out, you don't need to go ahead and redo that. You already did the work in previous question. Okay, so that's total surface area is equal to 396 plus 120. And that's going to be equal to 4. Okay, pardon me. Wow. So that's 396 plus 120. That's going to be equal to 516 square millimeters. Okay, so that was not a very tough question. The formulas are pretty much what you need to know to work out questions like these. Alright, so pretty good. Picked up a couple of marks there for you. And the final question, guys, is this sector question here. We are initially told that we are to use pi as 22/7 to answer this part of the question. We are given a sector here. Sector is AOB, and the sector has a sector angle of 45 degrees. And it says that the figure above not drawn to scale, which means that you cannot use your protractor to measure if the angle is actually 45. and you can't use your ruler or any other measuring instrument to measure the length of the line or the curve or whatever it is that you want to do. It's not drawn to scale. It's just a representation of a circle with a angle or sector angle of 45 degrees approximately. So the figure above, not drawn to scale, represents a circle of diameter 9.8. Let's put that in. Well, we can't. We only literally have the radii here and here. And we have the diameter. And we know that D is equal to 2R. And we also know that R is equal to D divided by 2. Diameter divided by 2. Alright? And center O and the angle AOB is 45 degrees. So our job here, let's just zoom this up. Not zoom this up, let's just pull this up a little bit, guys. We need some space here. Alright, so here we go. So we are to calculate to 1 decimal place the circumference of the circle. That too was a formula that was provided on your formula sheet. So circumference of a circle, that's right here. Circumference is equal to that, C is equal to 2 pi r. So we can start off by saying here that C is equal to 2 pi r. So this C is equal to 2 times, they said that we should use pi as 22 over 7. And the radius, we just mentioned earlier that D is equal to 2R, and therefore R is equal to D divided by 2. We are told that the diameter is 9.8. So that means R must be equal to 9.8 divided by 2, which is equal to 4.2. 4.7 millimeter. Is it millimeter? It is centimeter, pardon me. So that's 2 times 22 over 7 times 4.7. I have a decimal, so that's centimeter. Let's go ahead and use my calculator. So that's 2 multiplied by 22 divided by 7 multiplied by 4.7. And that's giving me a circumference of 29.54 centimeter. Okay, and it says to 1 decimal place, so I know that this is 24.5 centimeter. We are also looking for the area of the circle. So area is equal to pi r squared. So area is equal to pi, which is 22 over 7. We are instructed to use pi as 22 over 7. The radius is 4.7, but we're going to have to square it. So 4.7 squared, that's going to be A is equal to 22 over 7 times 22.09. 4.7 squared is 22.09. So 22 divided by 7 multiplied by 22.09. That works out to be that the area is equal to 69.4. They said to 1 decimal place, so 69.4 square centimeters. And that is the area of that circle. Okay, pretty good so far. Hopefully you guys got that. We are asked to find the area of the minor sector. If we check our formula sheets here, we should be able to find a formula for sector. It says here, area of sector is theta divided by 360 times pi r squared. So the formula sheet was actually very helpful when it comes to this question. So that's theta over 360 multiplied by pi r squared. Pi r squared, remember, is the area of the circle. So theta is 45 divided by 360 multiplied by, we could go ahead and say 22 over 7 times 4.7 squared, but we had initially done, and I just erased it moments ago, I had initially done pi r squared and I got 69.42 or 69.4. So I could just replace this entire pi r squared here with 69.4 because I just did pi r squared in part 2 here, so I don't need to do it again. So 45 divided by 360 multiplied by 69.4, and that's going to be equal to 8.7. They said to one decimal place is 8.675, rounded off to approximately being 8.7. And that's 8.7 centimeter. Okay, so that takes us to the end of this particular question when it comes to sector. Hopefully those explanations were useful to you, and you can definitely just kind of improve and make corrections to whatever you had done incorrect or whatever approach that you took. All right, so we're just gonna wrap up this last question here. I thought initially that that was the last question, but this is actually the last one here. Now, this is question 6C, part A. What is the volume of this standard size box of salt? And this box of salt is in the prism form of a cuboid standing up. So we know that the volume of any prism is equal to AH, and since this is a cuboid, its cross section is rectangular, so the A would have been length times width, and again times height. So the length of this prism here is 5. The length is 6 actually. The width is 5 and the height is 10. So it's just multiplying the three numbers here. So 6 times 5 is 30, 30 times 10 is 300, and it is in centimeter, and it is volume, so it is cubic centimeter. It is 300 cubic centimeter. Because you're looking for the volume. What is the volume of this special offer box of salt, which is 20% bigger? Haha. So it's 20% more. So this is just mixing percentages with volume. This is going to be 20% over 100 multiplied by the current volume it has, which is, sorry, the previous volume it has, because it's 20% more. So it's 20% over 100 times 300. These two zeros cancel these two zeros here. So we're looking at 20 times 3, which is going to be equal to, this is just going to be equal to 60 cubic centimeters. Pardon me. Alright, so it is a 60 So it's a 60 cubic centimeters. So therefore, it's just going to be the current, or sorry, the previous volume plus the 20% more. And it's going to be equal to 360 cubic centimeters. That's a special offer. That's the amount of volume. Now it says here that the standard size box contains enough salt to fill up 10 salt pots. So the standard size box, which is the one at the top, which has a volume of 300 centimeters cube, it has enough salt to fill up 10 salt pots. How many salt pots may be filled from the special offer box of salt. So we're saying that the 300 centimeter cube of salt that we initially had in the standard size box, it can fill all 10 of these. Okay? So that would simply tell me that maybe the 300 divided by the 10 salts, it would literally mean that each of these salt pots here can hold a maximum of 30 cubic centimeters of salt. That's what it's telling me. Alright? Because since the volume of the salt box, the standard size salt box is 300, and it has enough salt to fill up all 10 of these pots, it would mean that each of these salt pots would contain approximately 30 cubic centimeters of salt. Now, since the new salt box, which is the special offer, contains now 360 cubic centimeters of salt, that would mean that since each of these salt pots contain 30, I could take the current volume of the salt box, that is 360 cubic centimeter, and divide it by the amount of cubic centimeters of salt that can be held in each of these small pots. That's 30. And that should basically tell me the amount of salt pots that I can fill with the new special offer of salt box. And that's going to be equal to 12. 12 of these pots. So the special offer will give me an extra 2 pots of small salt here. Alright? That's it. That brings us to the end of this video. And this brings us to the end of the end of term exam for the September through to the December period. Alright? Let me know what you guys think about the explanation. Definitely, as I said to you before, guys, I'll be doing a lot more face-to-face tutoring, face reveal of who I am. I believe the first time I posted a video on this channel, you saw who I was. You could definitely check that video out and what I had planned to do with this channel. That plan still remains intact. Definitely a lot of change has been made on my end when it relates to making content, but we'll be turning up the heat on this channel and helping a lot more students become a lot better at the language of the universe. Alright, so until next time, we are signing out from the Apex Academy of Mathematics. We are learning the language of the universe begins here. Remember, consistency and practice makes improvement. Alright, take care. Until next time, goodbye.